Dear students, welcome to the another video of Edwins. Today we will discuss about the human brain. So the human brain consists of three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. This forebrain is further divided into two parts, that is cerebral cortex, which is also known as cerebrum, and another one is diencephalon. Okay, so the forebrain consists of two parts, that is cerebral cortex and diencephalon. This diencephalon is further made up of two parts. Number one is hypothalamus and number two is the thalamus. Okay, next one is the midbrain. This midbrain have two parts. Number one is the tectum and number two is the peduncle. Next, the third one is the hindbrain, which have three parts. The first part is known as pons. The second part is the cerebellum. And the third one is the medulla oblongata. So, there the structure of a human brain, where the cerebral cortex is the largest part of the brain. That is, about 80 to 90% of the brain is consist of the cerebral cortex or cerebrum. It is divided into two hemisphere, that is called cerebral hemisphere. Cerebral hemisphere. Which is that right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere. Next, the part which is known as corpus callosum. It is actually the part of the forebrain, which mainly responsible for the memory. Okay. The next one, that is the function of cerebrum. Cerebrum is the main and important part of the human brain, which is responsible for the intelligence, memory and other functions like storage of reflex action template. We know that reflex action actually regulated by the spinal cord, but for the memory of this reflex action actually stored into the forebrain in cerebrum. Next, the diencephalon, which is composed of two parts, that is hypothalamus and thalamus. Thalamus that connect the hypothalamus and cerebrum. Number one. And number two, it regulate the relay action. What is relay action? Actually, it regulates the sensory and motor neuron action. And motor neuron. It get a connection bridge between the sensory and motor neuron. So this is the function of thalamus. Next one is the hypothalamus. We know this is a endocrine gland which actually release hormone and act as an endocrine gland. Okay, so this is the function of hypothalamus. So the cerebrum is the responsible for the intelligence, memory, and also the storage of reflex action template. The diencephalon, which is composed of thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus is responsible for the connection between the cerebrum and hypothalamus, and it is also act as a connection bridge between sensory and motor neuron inside the brain. Next, the hypothalamus, which is also known as the supreme commander endocrine gland, that release the hormones which regulate the secretion of the other endocrine glands. Next one is the midbrain. In midbrain, this is mainly responsible for connection between forebrain and hindbrain. This is made the connection between forebrain and hindbrain. Forebrain and hindbrain. Okay, and also it act or regulate some voluntary actions. What are the voluntary actions? The actions occurs according our will, that running, walking, these are the voluntary actions. So the midbrain regulate some voluntary actions. Next one is the hindbrain, which is divided or composed of three parts. Number one is the pons, number two is the cerebellum, and number three is the medulla oblongata. So this blue part of this image actually the forebrain. Okay, and this small part, this is the midbrain, and the red part, that is the hindbrain, where the pons, which is just below to the midbrain and front of the cerebellum. Okay, so the pons, which is located, where is the location? Location is the location just below to the midbrain and front of the cerebellum. Okay, next, what is the function of the pons? Function is the regulate the involuntary actions. What is the example of involuntary actions? Like respiration, peristalsis movement or peristaltic movement, What is peristaltic movement? When we engulf the food get reach into the stomach in a special rhythmic way, which is known as peristaltic movement. These are the involuntary actions. Another involuntary action like regulate the heartbeat. Okay, so these are the functions of pons. Next one is the cerebellum, which is very much important part of the hindbrain, which located just behind the pons. The pons, and the function is the function of the cerebellum is regulate body balance in the time of running or walking. Okay, so it regulates the balance when we are running or walking. Next one is the medulla oblongata, which is located just below the cerebellum, and location below the pons and cerebellum, and its function is to regulate the involuntary actions. Okay, so what kind of involuntary actions? Mainly the cerebellum is responsible for smelling, so this is the function of hindbrain, and this medulla oblongata is also a junction point between the brain and spinal cord. So the medulla oblongata made the junction between brain and spinal cord. So these are the functions of brain, and these are the parts of the human brain, where have three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain made up of two parts mainly, that is cerebrum or cerebral cortex, and another one is the diencephalon. This diencephalon is made up of hypothalamus and thalamus. Next one is the midbrain, which is made up of tectum and peduncle, and the hindbrain is made up of three parts, that is cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. So that's all for the today's video. If you like to get more such informative video, you may subscribe our YouTube channel Edwins, and also like, follow and comment in our Facebook page Edwins. Also you may visit our official website edwins.in, where you can purchase our premium version at a very low cost, and you can get unlimited study materials, mock test series and recorded video classes. So please do visit right now. Thank you.
Edwins, learn, grow, succeed.